out here in Frankfurt, but you never know.
You never know. You never know with a central bank. There could be any rabbits out of the hat. It's called a hat trick. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Let's get together sometime later in the week to continue to explore the market. A very important week. Olaf Krieger from DWTV for Channels Television at the Frankfurt Stock Exchange. Let's cross over to the U.S., where the stocks index were a little bit tepid early today, this afternoon. Things are looking a little bit better for the three major indices we track on Wall Street for you, as traders eyed earnings data and prepared for a probable interest rate hike later in the trading week. You saw the early numbers there. The Dow Industrial Futures is now much better by 0.2%. A few minutes ago, the S&P 500 Futures is also higher, much higher than what you see there, to 0.39%. in the green. All those three markets indices in the green. The Nasdaq futures has also turned green to 0.39, S&P 500 0.33, and the Dow Index futures 0.21. There are no major economic data reports scheduled for today. As you have heard, investors look ahead to the FOMC meeting on Tuesday and Wednesday. And according to the CME's group, FedWatch, to market expectations for a March rate hike is about 93%, and you were talking about most likely 100% earlier. Not significantly different. Let's look at Asia, where it's evening time, or dinner time, we want to put it that way. Asia markets turned positive Monday, but traders remain wary ahead of a potential rate hike by the U.S. Federal Reserve on Wednesday. South Korea's Kospi was higher, almost 1%, as investors shrugged off the political risks after President Park was removed from office on Friday. Then she left the Blue House on Sunday. Meantime, Japan's Nikkei 225 recovered from earlier losses to close 0.15% as the yen continued to slip against the dollar. A very strong day for the greenback. Mainland Chinese shares finished in positive territory. The Shanghai Composite closed 0.75% in the green, and the Shenzhen Composite 0.8%. In Hong Kong, the Hang Seng Index was buoyant, a strong 1.25%. So let's squeeze some company news into that. HSBC, one of the world's largest lenders with about 235,000 employees in about 70 countries, has tapped an outsider for his top job, appointing insurance veteran and AIA Group boss Mark Tucker as the new chairman. He will replace Douglas Flint, who said last year he decided to step down in 2017. The shares of HSBC climbed the most in 3 months after the announcement. The one-time professional footballer will take over the role in October and will be put to the test from the word go. One of his first major tasks is finding a new CEO to replace Stuart Gulliver. Flint and Gulliver's retirement wraps up one of the longest-serving management partnerships at HSBC. Together, they reshaped the group during tough times for global banks in 2008, slashing more than 43,000 jobs and selling assets worldwide to bring the business of HSBC back on track. And sticking with the world of banking, Portugal's largest bank, the state-owned Caixa Bank, will slash its foreign assets by half by the year 2020 as part of an ongoing restructuring, and will prioritize selling its Spanish and South African businesses. The bank, which posted a record 2016 loss of 1.86 billion euros, said it expects to cut its international assets to no more than 12 billion euros by the year 2020. That's from 23 billion last year, while targeting a rise in return on equity from the operations to more than 15% from 13%. CGD's total net assets at the end of last year stood at 93.5 billion euros, down from about $101 billion euros in 2015. The lender says it plans to maintain operations in markets with Portuguese affinity, which include Portuguese-speaking Angola, Mozambique, and the Macau region in China, while shutting down the remaining non-core international business. So let's talk about telecommunications a little bit. In the words of market sources, anything to go by, Abu Dhabi listed Etisalat may sell its stake in Etisalat Nigeria after the local unit defaulted on a $1.2 billion loan payment. Etisalat met with local lenders in Nigeria on Tuesday on Wednesday to discuss the loan default And they met also with the central bank and the industry regulator. They're expecting to start the sale after the telecoms debt has been restructured. In the meantime, Senior Vice President at Etisalat, Ahmed bin Ali, says Etisalat Group does not comment on rumors or market speculation. Okay, so it's the beginning of a brand new trading week for markets here in Nigeria. And of course, the foreign exchange dealers expect the naira to strengthen modestly in the interbank and the street market following improved liquidity. Last week, the central bank sold about $567 million in the spot market and in the forward futures market for the week. So let's get a sense of today's being the first trading day. I'm being joined by FX dealer with Access Bank, Femi Akinyemi. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thanks for coming through on the phone. A lot of rapid fireworks last week, almost $600 million the central bank or the regulator sold to the market. What's today's Monday looking like?
Let's say the CBN has kept through to their policy to continue to support the market. We've seen they've sold about $120 million to settle invisible transactions, particularly the school fees, the PTAs, and they've also sold about $1.2 billion in forwards of several tenors, with 60 days being the maximum. So the effects of all of this, we've seen that a number of outstanding obligations have been cleared, and we've also seen that it feeds into the parallel market that has continued to appreciate. As I speak to you, the parallel market is 455 to the dollar rather.
Oh, that's to speak. Thank you, Femi, for bringing us up to speed on that. So we've seen about $120 million, as you said, in the interbank spot market, and another $1.2 billion in different tenors of forward FX today. Thank you very much for bringing us up to speed where the market is. And you've heard that there that naira is around 455 to the dollar. We'll be back after the break.